I'm going to be reading from the Time Machine today, chapter 3. Through the thinning hail, I saw a white shape. Then the hail stopped completely. Blue spread over the sky, and I was staring at a huge white marble statue. On a high base of bronze, a sphinx with the head of a woman, a lion's body, and an eagle's outspread wings. It towered above me. So this was what the future world was like, I thought. The white sphinx was the work of a great artist. Clearly, the future loved beauty. But then I looked more closely. The bronze base was green with mold. The sphinx's face was partly worn away. Had civilization fallen apart? It did not seem so. In the distance, I could see giant buildings. They made those of my time seem small and ugly. I stared hard at those buildings. I saw tiny shapes on a terrace. They were living creatures, people. One was pointing at me. Suddenly, I felt afraid. What would these people think of me, do to me? To them, I was a caveman, or even an animal. They might want to cage me, or perhaps even kill me. I tensed my muscles and pushed my time machine upright. I checked it over. Nothing was broken. I could relax. If I found myself in danger, I could escape. I climbed into the time machine and sat down. I gripped the lever. Then I heard someone coming through the bushes nearby. My grip tightened. I was ready for the people of the future. A man came out of the bushes. I let go of the lever. I could see no danger. This man was no more than 4 feet tall. He was very slender. He wore a short purple robe with a thin belt. His legs were bare. Soft sandals were on his feet. Everything about him was beautiful, but very delicate, like a perfect flower that would die in a cold wind. But I could feel how warm the air was in this world. Others came behind him. Their clothes were like his, but the colors all were different. The males and females looked very much alike. I could hardly tell them apart. There was no fear on their lovely faces. They crowded around me. They were smiling and laughing. I smiled back. How foolish I had been to worry. These people did not know the meaning of fear. They had no reason to hate or to harm. I let them touch me with their soft hands. I let them touch my machine. They seemed to want to make sure we were real. Their voices were gentle and musical. They sounded like birds cooing as they spoke. Their language was strange to me. I could not understand a word. Then something began to trouble me. None of them showed any interest in talking to me. Nobody asked me questions. Nobody tried to find out who I was. But perhaps they already knew. Yes, that was it. They already had all the answers. Still, I had to make sure. I pointed to the sun. I wanted to express the idea of time. My first visitor looked puzzled. Then he clapped his hands in delight. He made the sound of a thunderclap. The others joined in. They made the same sounds. I was astounded. These people thought I had fallen from the sky. Fallen like the hail. They had the minds of 5-year-olds. I tried to make sense of this. I could not. Then the little people made eating motions with their hands. They patted their stomachs, and I suddenly realized how hungry I was. After all, I had not eaten in 800,000 years. I went with them to their dining hall. But first I took care to remove the levers from the time machine. I put them in my pocket to be safe. Some of these people might play with the machine while I was gone. They were childlike enough to do that. We walked to the dining hall. Many of the great buildings we passed seemed empty. There were cracks in the windows. The colors of the tiles were faded. I remembered how worn the White Sphinx looked. It seemed that I had been right. This world was going downhill. When we entered the dining hall, I began to see why. The hall was huge. It had stained glass windows and a stainless metal floor. There were panes missing from the windows. The floor was worn by many feet over the years. The dining tables and chairs were polished stone. Many of the chairs were empty. There was much more food on the tables than we needed. Only a few hundred people were eating in the great dining hall. I sat down and began eating. The food was very good. The fruits and vegetables on the table were strange to me, but I found they were delicious. I saw no meat. There were people of my own time who said that eating flesh was wrong. It seemed that their point of view had won out. There were no plates or knives and forks. Everything was eaten by hand. Cleaning up was easy. Leftovers were thrown into holes in the floor. They disappeared below. During the meal, I began to learn the language of the future. I pointed at different things. I asked people to say their names. It was slow going. People would come up to me. They would look at me. Then they would drift off. I could only hold their interest for a minute or two. After eating, the people began singing and dancing. Nobody even glanced at me when I left the hall. I wanted to be alone. I had to put my thoughts together. There was a full moon out. I strolled along. I saw flowers more beautiful than I had ever seen before. Fruits and vegetables grew wild everywhere. I saw no weeds, no insects, no animals, no trace of any threat to an endless harvest of food. I thought of the people I had met. They showed no sign of sickness or injury or even death. I'm sorry. They showed no signs of sickness or injury or even age. They enjoyed perfect health, perfect happiness in a perfect world. This then was the reason for the decay I had seen, the neglect of the buildings, the green mold on the Sphinx's base. People had lost the need to work to make life better. They had everything they wanted. They were happy. Well, simply to be happy. Could I blame them? I found it hard to, yet at the same time, I found it sad. This was what humans had become, creatures of pleasure. They had no thoughts in their minds. Their lives were made up of eating, dancing, singing, playing. By now, I had reached the White Sphinx. I looked up at it and said, "Answer me this riddle, Sphinx. Is this what all of history has led to? All the work of all the scientists and artists and thinkers and builders? Did they do so much to produce so little? Did all their efforts produce a world of people who are forever children?" I received the only answer a sphinx ever gives: silence. I sighed in despair. I would have to take my unanswered question back to my own time. Then all my thoughts were washed away. A wave of horror hit me. It was like the thunderclap that greeted me when I arrived. I saw that my time machine was gone.